doing today. Come on in. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Say hi. If this is your first time, definitely comment. Let me give a shout out. I don't know what's going on with Facebook. It's taking forever to go live. I don't know what's happening. Um, Okay, so if you guys can see me on Facebook or YouTube, let me know. Otherwise, I'm gonna just get into it. Good morning, everyone. Sammy, my name is not Ashley. My name is Ayesha. It's not Ashley. Definitely get it correct. So for those of you tuning in for the first time, my name is Ayesha Chidole. My name is not Chidole or Ashley. It's Ayesha. My last name is Chidole. I'm an immigration lawyer. I represent clients all over the United States with their family immigration matter. Um, Let me just put my phone number in here real quick, guys. In Facebook, Facebook is giving me a hard time today. Oh, Francis streaming from Lagos. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Uh, 555 says, my name is Ashley. Hey, Ashley. Very nice name. Sammy says it was my corrector. Sorry, keyboard. Save that name on your keyboard so that your keyboard can recognize Aisha next time. Anyway, again, if you guys want to schedule a consultation, call 407-995-6567, or you can also send a WhatsApp to 404-333-8751 if you want to schedule a consultation with any of the attorneys here at my firm. Um, so today's really immigration live chat. I don't have any topics pre-planned, so I'm happy to take and answer your questions. So feel free to start typing your questions. Let me just go in here and say hello to some people, especially our first timers. Finesse, good morning. Good morning. This is Terry Ann. Good morning, Brown Isabella. The real Renee 55 says, where are you located? Atlanta, Georgia. But we take clients all over the United States, but I'm physically present in Atlanta, Georgia. Brandon, good morning from New Jersey. How are you? Hi, Anna. Sue, good morning. Cuisine Good B says, if my husband is abusive and I live overseas, can I apply for VAWA? Was there a time that you and your husband ever lived in the United States? You need that component unless you can show that your husband is part of the American military. And then if he was, then that would be an option. And I'm so sorry that you're dealing with that. And I don't know if your husband's a U.S. citizen either. Christine, welcome for the first time. Bukia Falabi from Denver, welcome. Sue from Denver. No, from Maryland, welcome. Chachuri, good morning. Dream says, good morning, Fabulous, the most gorgeous lawyer. I'm from Mr. Thank you so much. Um, okay, let's see what else we've got here. Shakina, Glory Braids, good morning. Destiny, good morning. Streaming from South Africa, wow. And Ray Riza from Canada, good morning. Call me the one says, so divorce her. I don't know if I missed part of that question. Someone Beanpay says, how long does it take to get a vow prima facie after submitting vow? Most prima facies, if there are no issues with your case, would take like 3 to 5 months. Sometimes it's a little later, like they may need an RFE, like to get some things clarified, or sometimes they may just not have sent it or it got lost in the mail. But majority of people, if you meet the prima facie, you would usually get it within that window. Good morning, Sheila on Facebook, and Nika, isn't Nika on Facebook. Good morning from Columbus, Ohio. Yes. Tizy, I'm not sure if you're talking to someone else, so I'm not really sure. Question. Call me the one says mine took 5 months with her. So so this is, I guess, a client of ours telling you that their prima facie determination letter took 3 to 5 months and theirs took 5 months. So that's kind of the window. How long does it take an I-130 to process U.S. citizen stepchild to move for NVC? So it really depends on where your service center is. All service center have different, you know, um, have different processing times. But I always say that to be on the safe side, most I-130s, if there's no IRF or anything else at question, will take anywhere from 12 to 15 months for most I-130s. Again, sometimes some people are luckier. But this is really where the average is, and then it moves on to the National Visa Center. And from there, depending on the quickness in which you submit your application and get documentary qualified, then it's usually another like 2 to 4 months. And then at that point, you start to wait for them to schedule your interview. And interview is very location dependent. It depends on what country you're in. Is there a backlog there? Some countries don't have a backlog, so you can fall anywhere there. Jay Mahida says someone threatened me at the store and said I will kill you and rob my workplace, and I cannot do anything. I'm on a student visa. Jay, call us. First of all, I hope that you reported this to the authority, but we'll be happy to screen you to see if you qualify for a U visa. Okay. Let's see. Bimbo, good morning from Chicago. Okay. Okay. Can you please answer my question? I got approved for my VAWA on April 9th, and then I received notice from I-485 RFE medical exams, and we send them June 22nd. They received it. Until now, we haven't heard from USCIS. That's fine. You probably will soon hear from USCIS. Even when you submit the medicals, it can still take a little bit. I always say give or take 6 months from your approval of VAWA, for some sort of action on your green card to be approved, or for an interview to be scheduled. Most likely, they're probably bypassing your interview. So just give it a little bit of time, and hopefully, you hear from them by next month. Good morning, Bren from Cameroon. If I bring my dad to the States from Nigeria, can he bring anyone else, or it's just him? This question all depends. When you say you bring him, like you're filing for his green card. If you're filing for his green card, you can only file for your dad. If you want to file for your mom, you have to file for her separately. If it's a step parent, you can't file for them if you were over the age of 18 when your dad and that person married. So if that's your question, that's the answer. If you have siblings, you have to file for your siblings separately. So, they can't follow to join the situation. The only time you can do like follow to join is if you're filing for a spouse and they already have, if you're filing for a spouse outside of the United States and you're a green card holder, and you're filing for your spouse, and let's say your spouse has other children, and you guys are married before those children turn 18, then she can come in with those children with the follow to join portion of the application. After applying for the work permit, how long is the wait period? I think this is the number one question I get asked all the time on the lives. Work permits can vary depending on what kind of case you're presenting. I'm just going to go with majority cases. If it's like a marriage-based case, if it's like a VAWA case, you're looking at 4 to 9 months. You can fall anywhere within that window. Some people get it in 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, but majority of the people will take them 4 to 9 months for them to get it. Okay. Good morning. It's me, Peter from Michigan. If I petition for my brother who's over the age of 21, how long is the process? A long time. A long time, like 16 to 18 years. It just is a long time. I mean, the visa bulletin changes every month. I don't know offhand September's. I know September's schedule is out, but I don't know for sibling category how long it is. But it's not one of the quick ones. It takes a little bit of a while. So hopefully, but if your brother is not in the country, that's fine, because if it's here, the problem is he's going to be out of status, and then it becomes really difficult. It's going to take a long time, but you can certainly do it. Good morning, Mohammed on YouTube and Muchi. Sorry, guys. I have 2 screens, and so I know sometimes I ignore the people on Facebook and YouTube and like turn my face to Instagram. But people on Instagram tend to ask more questions. So I'm just getting through the questions. Mohammed says, how can I check my I-360 and 485 under VAWA? The only way you can check it is through your attorney hotline, or through a letter. You can't call them via phone, or you can do any inquiry online by yourself for that kind of case. Okay. My husband asked for a divorce in May of 2023 after we got married in January of 2023. We signed the documents in May before I flew out back to my home country, South Africa, and he still has not filed. I don't know if this is a completion, if you've completed your question. I'm not sure what you're asking. We don't handle divorces, but you probably want to make sure that that divorce is fully executed and done. If the question you're asking is, finalizing your divorce, because I'm not really sure what question you're asking, you want to make sure that your divorce is finalized in the law of the country where you live in. Just because if you marry somebody else, you're going to have a hard time getting approved if you were never really free to marry. Okay. Okay, so if stepchildren are added to a marriage-based case, will that cause a delay? Again, all of this depends. There are just so many variables. Immigration is just so vast in understanding the little nuances here. Like, so this question I can't even really answer because I need to know what is the status of the person petitioning. Are they a green card holder? Are they a U.S. citizen? How old are the stepchildren? Are they adjusting their status? Are they consular processing? So that's why like stuff like this needs a consultation, because depending on what you tell me, the answer is different for everyone, because sometimes you're doing it together. Sometimes you have to do separate applications. So it just all really depends. So it's really difficult to answer your question without more context. So Paul says, good morning. What are the implications for working in the U.S. without authorization for a person who has overstayed a visa, and what is the best answer? Well, I mean, I'm an officer of the law. I would never tell you to work under the table or work unauthorized. That being said, people are going to do what people are going to do. If you are a VAWA applicant, you will be forgiven for working under the table. If you are married to a U.S. citizen, you will be forgiven for working under the table. If you are married to a green card holder, you will not be forgiven for working under the table. So do with that whatever you will. It is very important. I talked about this in the video that I posted yesterday, that if you do ever work under the table, you never, ever want to present yourself as a U.S. citizen. Take ownership of a U.S. citizen social security number, because those are all things that will be considered false claims to citizenship and will bar you from getting your green card and citizenship. So you definitely want to be careful about that. Okay. Daki says, how much is your consultation? It's $150. Jay says, can I apply for U visa? Yeah, I answered your question earlier. I said yes, that, well, I can't tell you if you can apply for a U visa. I need to screen you. But for a U visa, if you're a victim of a serious crime, you've cooperated with law enforcement is willing to certify that, then you can be eligible for a U visa. Biza says, good morning, ma'am. I filed my VAWA 11/22. I got my prima facie March 2023. Before I received the prima facie, they asked for medical, and it was emailed. How long should I wait for biometrics and work permit? I'm not really sure I understand your question. What do you mean you emailed medical? You can't email medical. You have to mail the medical. So I need a little bit more context. But again, work permits, take anywhere from, if you file an I-485, it takes anywhere from 4 to 9 months. So you're kind of in the window of where you should get it. But, typically you need your biometrics to get it. So unless you have a biometrics that was waived or bypassed, you generally need a biometrics to get it. Okay. Okay, this is a follow-up question. Um, Stephanie says, my husband, Stephanie, okay, so Stephanie, you're the one who said that your husband had you sign divorce papers, but you don't know what has happened with the divorce, blah, and stuff like that. But he's a U.S. citizen and you're not, file for a green card. What you need to do is you need to call me, 407-995-6567, schedule a consultation. I will screen you to see if there's anything else you're eligible for on the basis of that marriage. If we determine you're eligible for something, I'll be happy to give you the walkthrough and the process, of how you can get your green card. Stainless says if you submitted your VAWA in November and you've done your biometric and have not yet gotten your prima facie yet, is there anything to be concerned about? I would want to know where your prima facie is, or if they haven't issued your prima facie, is there something that's missing in your application? If something is missing in your application, USCIS should at least send you a request for additional evidence so that you can correct that. So for me, I would want to get an update as to the filing, what's going on with this file, what can I do to correct it so that I can get a prima facie determination letter. I'm a U.S. citizen. My family's trying to arrange marriage for me with a girl from Pakistan who has a tourist visa. If I go back home to marry her, what's the best way to immigrate her? Well, you have two options. So, I guess, in Pakistan, arranged marriages are the norm, or something that is prevalent in your country. I don't want to necessarily say it's the norm, but if you do marry her and she has a tourist visa, you have several options. You can always do the application here and then continue consular processing. If one of the trips she comes to visit you, and while she's here, you guys change your mind and say, well, I want you to stay here, let's just do the adjustment of status. You can do the adjustment of status here as well. So you'd have both options available to you. First timer Christina, welcome. I was born in the States and want to file for my mom in Jamaica, and recommendations on what I should be doing to get to that point. Well, one, you want to be over the age of 21. You want to make sure that you meet the income requirement to sponsor your mother. Otherwise, you essentially be filing a petition for alien relative. And once that's approved, they send it over to the National Visa Center. That's when you put in your income, basically your financial affidavit of support. Your mom completes her own application, police clearance, and all of that stuff. And then once the National Visa Center is satisfied with that, then they'll put her online to be scheduled for an interview, and she'll get her immigrant visa, which will basically convert to a green card that way. Sasha says, good morning. Keep up the good work. I'm patiently waiting for my approval. Patiently waiting with you too. Good luck with that. Lickle from Jamaica, welcome. Alrin Evans says, good day. Do you file the I-130 and adjustment of status at a service center closest to the state you live in? What if I temporarily live in a separate state from my spouse? Your question to me indicates why you should make sure you're not filing your application by yourself. You should be going with an attorney because you want to make sure that you file it correctly. But typically you go based on what USCIS tells you to do. So typically USCIS will have a list of states and say, this is where you can send your application to. This is where your application goes if you're in this state versus this state. So that's how we file applications. And this applies across the board for majority of the cases. There's certain cases that will only go to one field office, but that's how marriage-based cases go. I filed adjustment of status based on VAWA, October 2021, did biometrics, May 2022, never heard anything again until date. So 21, 22. So you're still within a normal timeline. It takes 2 to 2.5 years minimum to hear about your VAWA case. Sometimes some people get it earlier, but this is the normal stand. This is the normal time. So you're still about, 21 months, 22 months in. Um, the sunny Nino says, I filed I-130 for my husband to come to the US. Just 1 second, guys. Let me just turn off this beeper because it's so loud. Um, okay, you said that you filed an I-130 for your husband to come to the US. Can my case be denied because I'm currently unemployed? We have a child in common. He's on the birth certificate as well. Congrats on the birth of your child, and I'm sorry to hear that you're unemployed. But you cannot be denied for your I-130 because of that. The I-130 is just establishing that truly you have a legitimate relationship that makes him eligible. Now, once you file the I-130, I'm assuming that your husband is not in the US because you said, for your husband to come into the US. Once the I-130 is approved and you move over to the National Visa Center, this is when you're going to need to show some source of income to show that you meet the income requirements, which, in your case would be if you only have this one child in your life, you would be considered a family of three. So you want to make sure that you're meeting the income requirement for a family of three. If at that time when you're approved you still don't have a job, you want to see who can be a joint sponsor for you, and that joint sponsor has to be a 10-year legal permanent resident or a US citizen. In the alternative, because I know it's very difficult for a lot of immigrants to find joint sponsors when they need one sometimes, you want to look at assets that you may have. If you own a home, for instance, even if you haven't finished paying your mortgage, but you appraise that home, and let's say, you own a home that maybe you purchased for like $300,000 and now the home is worth like $500,000. I'm just throwing random numbers out. So you obviously have 200K equity, in it, so you can show the appraisal of that. If you have assets, meaning money in your bank accounts, in your 401K or in your Roth, in your IRA, whatever kind of IRA you have, or investment accounts, or a car that's fully paid off. Basically, think about assets this way: anything that can be converted to cash within 12 months. USCIS can calculate that to determine your requirements. The requirement is not that much. For a family of three, you just need to show that you make $31,000.75. So, as long as if you count any of your assets, it's more than that, and you can paper trail that, then you can still do it for your husband. Okay. Someone says, good morning. Do you have any updates for DACA? Unfortunately, no, I don't. Sopap says, can I get travel documents with pending asylum case? No, you definitely do not want to head anywhere with a pending asylum case. Sweetland says, it's been 2 years since I filed for VAWA. So based on a U.S. citizen, I had all the paperwork, police reports, pictures of physical abuse. I only received 2 prima facies and no RFE. Last PF was expired in May 2023. So hopefully you'll get a decision soon. My vow is approved. I filed an I-485 in May. Now my case is transferred from Nebraska to Vermont. I'm married to a U.S. citizen. How long? Wait. So Janelle, what do you mean? What do you mean? Do you mean that you got married while your vow case was pending? Meaning another marriage? Is that what you're saying? Can you clarify? Because that's going to change things for you. Kishan says, how is it the best lawyer ever? When USCIS tells you that they will make a decision in 2 weeks and the 2 weeks had passed, what do you think might be the problem? The problem is, don't believe what USCIS says about making a decision in 2 weeks. Yeah, right. And I really don't even know why they do that, because there's absolutely no way that USCIS can control the offices and when those people are making their decisions or what they have on their plate. So that's why I always tell my own clients, don't be bogged down by that. Just go based on the average estimates, because you're going to give yourself a panic attack or a reason to worry about stuff you don't need to worry about. So them not making a decision is just USCIS doing what USCIS would do. It doesn't mean that, a decision is not going to come forth. It just means that don't listen to that. One last question, I got to jump off. Okay. Nadia, last question. Nadia says, I applied for my sister 8 years ago. I did not get an approval notice yet. Is it normal? Please reply. Absolutely, it's normal. If you weren't here earlier in the live, I just mentioned that siblings can take anywhere from 16 to 18 years. So you're not going to get an I-130 approval till closer to the time before the visa becomes available. So that's why, it takes a long time. Okay, I can take one more and then I got to jump off. Ronke says, my work authorization is going to expire next February 2024. When can I submit for a new one? Always count 180 days before the expiration. That is the earliest that you can submit one. It's a good time to submit one before the actual expiration date on February 2024, so you can get that extension, whether or not your work permit takes a long time to come, but you at least can get the extension while you're waiting on that. All right, guys. I had a great time chatting with y'all, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.